Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Cone Dodger here. Welcome back to the iRacing Grand Touring Cup. This week, again, in the Mustang, of course, and at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. All one of my favorites, and I'm looking forward to it. This week, we are on race number 2. Race number 1 did not go particularly well, including some incidents with lapped cars. So, myself and Gem Knight decided to give it one more try for the week. And this is that one more try. This guy likes to run with a pace car.
Get ready. All right, don't pass the 2 car. The pace car is in.
It happened again.
Yeah, it's a terrible restart zone.
The road is now open.
He basically made it through the chicane and just went. And on off track already. Really what I'm focusing on is
bombed.
not getting the cutting penalties, because that is what is my main issue with this track. Not so much the off tracks, which we just had one, but the first attempt of this race, I had 2 cutting penalties. Now, granted, one was due to a lap car that decided to cut me off directly, but 2 cutting penalties, but no off tracks. So very weird cutting zones here. Quite difficult to tell what's in and what's out. See, like that is actually very close to being out, but it's all, you know, I'm sure it works off a coordinate system, so there's one coordinate number marked there that if you're over it, you're over it. But there's no physical marker to tell you where that might be. I'd say your prediction's holding true.
My car couldn't decide if it wanted to oversteer or understeer the hairpin.
just no steer. Try to push that braking zone a little bit here. We got this overcast condition, meaning you can push quite a lot harder than in
How did he not get to slow down? It did the same thing he did.
He did.
1 minute 55.
I followed him into it.
2, 3. Good job. The next car is leader.
I was following him in practice, and he seemed like he was pushing those boundaries.
Okay, you can go away now. You're at 4/10.
Yeah, that's it. They're very aggressive, too. Ask me how I know. That's all I'm focused on
Next
is...
car is the leader.
I got a 17-second penalty.
What?
As I was stopping.
Like a stop and go pit penalty?
Yeah, hold for 17 seconds in the pits.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
As I was stopping, letting the guy by. Just because it would not clear the penalty.
And that's what I was talking about. It really ruined my first race here, because it was so difficult to know when you were going to get them, and it was really difficult to clear
Trying
them.
to corner.
I mean, there's plenty of corners here to cry in. That's pretty much how I felt last race. These conditions are way more favorable, though, for staying on track. The improvement in grip is pretty unbelievable. I'd like to hang, you know, somewhat close to Travis here, just to keep that little bit of pressure on and hope that he maybe makes an off-track and cutting mistake
1 minute
to maybe get by.
51.73.
But we're talking a 5/10 a lap difference in general lap times between the two of us. So I know I'm in no position to try and push up to him and pass him. like I said, that doesn't mean we can't try to keep the pressure on, force him into a mistake, but not go
Next car is
so far into it that we cause ourselves to have a mistake. And you never know, maybe his setup was very well tuned for the 1 or 2 quick laps, but then it fades. This is one of the turns that I'm really being reserved on, because that's the one that kept biting me the hardest, especially practicing. I typically really do enjoy this circuit. I don't know why. It's so plain. Like, it's a pretty boring track if you just look at the layout, but I've always really enjoyed racing here. I enjoy the layouts of the chicanes versus most. Most of those fond memories are from NASCAR 2003, though, where there was no cutting penalties and ridiculous stuff like that. It was just you and the track. So you can get real nasty with the curbs.
1 minute 51.327.
Trying this different line that I see him taking in this turn. Getting good exits out of the turns is everything about this track. We do have a couple slow sty in this race, so we'll have to keep note of those. That's what murdered me in the first race. We were running in a drafting group, and I was the third car in line, and the pack of solstices we were following or passing decided that I wasn't quite close enough for that maneuver, so he cut me off. And still a little bit late into that braking zone, costing me time. We're losing just a tenth or two here and there to him. It's adding up quick, though. Really sucks that Jem is not getting the opportunity to race with us here. We were pretty competitive first time round. It was certainly a little bit faster. But then as we were getting ready to race today, his Logitech drivers decided to do that thing where it decided his wheel was a wingman instead of I think this is a driving force. So he did not get any practice, basically. Things were just not working out for him today. It's more frustrating in this series than most because there's so few races. This is only the, I believe, third live race of the week for the series. So if you have a bad race, something goes wrong, there's not a whole lot of time to try and recover from it. I have decided, I was actually on the fence whether I was going to run iRacing next season or not. I've decided that I am going to continue, which I think is 4 straight seasons or something like that. But we're going to do the Skippies series, which is something I've never done before. It's actually a slot below where Formula Renault and Pro Mazda would be. However, I was just kind of looking for something maybe not quite so schedule stringent, so I could record it, you know, whenever I have the free time to do it, instead of this series where there's 2 time slots. You hit those or you don't race. And it's extremely popular. So unlike here where we're racing a range from, you know, usually 1500 iRacing to 7000, we'll probably be right in the area of racing people with very similar iRatings to me. So that makes the race dynamic very different. Mixed wins unlikely, but I'm not all about the wins, that's for sure. That was a little bit slower of a lap. Tires starting to feel like they're faulting a little bit. I did go ahead, and when I saw that it was overcast cool, I went ahead and loosened the setup up a little bit. As you saw there. Because I had spent a lot of time tightening the setup up for the warmer conditions. Hoping that as the run goes on, we won't have as many issues with the car getting too tight on us. This car is a tricky one to balance because you don't want it to oversteer too much because you can burn tires off of this thing real easily. But if you introduce understeer to it, you actually end up burning the rear tires even more because you're pushing the car so hard out of the exits to try and get out. So it's a fine line. You're either going to have it so understeery that you burn all four, or so oversteery that you burn the rears off. It's the nature of the classic car. These cars designed for grand sport racing of the era, and it's basically just a stock car. You strip the interior out, you put a roll cage in it. You get the basic gauge cluster thing there. The engine's basically stock. Suspension barely upgraded. And the tire size is actually quite similar to factory. Just slicks. So there's not a ton of mechanical grip at hand here. And certainly not a lot of aero. If this thing makes any downforce in the front, I would be amazed. That's the one turn I feel like I'm consistently better than him at. Seems like every time through there he's getting just a little bit loose. Then he'll slowly pull away through the rest of the lap. Got some lap traffic here, could tighten things up. There's that oversteer. Hopefully we catch him after the chicane, not during. Looks like we will. Which way are you gonna go? Alright.
Got one on your right.
I guess it was gonna be stay right. I should actually turn up my team comm now, or the race comms. And everybody's got their pre-race chatter out of the way. But just so we can hear calls like which way lap cars are going. Boy, I'm not displeased with how well we're hanging with them here. Not displeased at all. It's a tough position to be in. Because mentally it makes you want to try and push harder and close that gap. But then you gotta like put it in the back of your mind, you know, second place is probably not bad versus a person with a significantly higher I rating than you. I'll get into there. Cost me through that whole turn. That turn's very doable in second gear, or third gear I mean, but it makes it a little too easy to overdrive.
Was this going better or worse than the last race for you?
It's going better. I'm just kind of having a chat because I am alone.
I'm bored.
I'm not bored. I'm hanging with him like I'm only 4 seconds back. But he's just got that few tenths every lap on me.
Closest car to me is 46 seconds ahead of me.
So that's a bit.
And the next Mustang's 48. pretty sure my spotter just went full snark. Just said, have I told you you're doing a great job?
Thank you.
I got solstices to deal with.
But
I mean, I think it's only 3, but still.
yeah, the Jettas are a bit more of a problem.
I caught one who was actually behind the solstice pack.
Alright, man, that car is a lap down. 1 minute.
Alright, well, this is a terrible place to be catching them.
1:16.
Really chasing the rear end there. Yeah, this is bad. I think we'll just chill through here. I'd rather lose a second being chill than 10 seconds not being chill.
Car on your left. Stay right. Still there.
And as always, they're being dicks.
Right there.
Yep.
Clear on the left. Got one on your left.
I think that might be the same guy from yesterday, Raphael.
No. Manuel, I think was his name.
The car looked similar, I don't know. It's another situation, like, they're having a race, I understand that. But trying to re-dive bomb me in the middle of the turn isn't gonna help you. This guy's #1 seed in the field. And we're not catching him on a straightaway, so it should be a no problem situation.
Got one on your left. Clear on the left.
Well, we've totally lost contact with them. I'd say that this race is now just a matter of trying to maintain this position, drive as sensibly as possible. 'Tis part of racing. It is part of the game.
1 minute 54.1.
There's a lot of strategy that goes into just running a race, running your own race. There's not just the strategy of an engineer behind the wall. There's a lot that goes on in your head too, on when you're gonna push, when you're not. Feeling out your competitors, knowing what they're gonna do. There's a lot of aspects to motorsports.
Thanks, Luke.
Using that information, if the leader had a good experience with lapping a car, then that makes me a little bit more comfortable with passing them. Though sometimes lap cars are a little bit more generous to a leader of a class than they are the rest of the class. Looks like we'll catch again on the straightaway here. That will be very ideal. Drifto! Hey, I'll take some of this draft.
Car on your
Definitely
right.
tell the speed difference between this car and the Jetta. Not as severe, but they have a lot more cornering grip, I think, than the Solstices, but not quite the straightaway speed of a Mustang. I enjoy a track where you can use a lot of curb, that's for sure. I wish it wasn't so finicky here if you could or you couldn't. Feels like we might have caught traffic a little bit better than Travis did there as he came back towards us a hair. Or maybe he's He's doing his own strategy. He knows now that there's no pressure. So just take the pace down a little bit. That right there is one of the, I think, trickiest turns in motorsports. It's not as bad in this car, but in a lot of the faster cars, it's just, it unwinds in such a strange way, and that wall is just right there ready to greet you. It's pretty tricky. Obviously, it's the last turn most famous here, the Wall of Champions there to greet you. But at least in this car, in this combination, not too much of an issue. Things you say right before you dump it off into the Wall of Champions. I got a room independent AC unit thing, like a floor move around guy that I can also use in the garage. Using it for the first time today. It's a little noisy. OBS is really good at blocking the noise, but I'm using the good old Audacity and Shadowplay method for this.
7, 8.
Didn't have time to set up anything OBS. So didn't want to deal with the noise. So what I did was I chilled my room down to like 75 degrees and then turned it off right before the race. So I'm very curious to see, with no HVAC going in this room, what temperature we get to by the end. If I had to guess, I would say at least 80. Like, it's just gotten to the point now where I can start to think that it feels maybe a little uncomfortable. I'm excited to have that for streaming, though. That's probably been one of the biggest restrictions for me on my stream fortitude, is that by about 2 hours of streaming, having my door closed and just the computers, every computer in my room going crazy, or every monitor and a laptop, it just gets so darn hot. I'm also really trying to come up with some new stuff to do for streams on what is now Mixer, not the Beam. It's a weird name. It's very weird. I'll get used to it, but it's very bizarre. Jet, I'm trying to... I think I got into a little bit of a habit of just leaning on my community content of like, alright patrons, jump on a call, we'll play some game. I got a little too comfortable and complacent with that, I think. So now I'm trying to come up with some fresh ideas to do on stream. If you have any suggestions or things you'd like to see me do, please feel free to comment. Really been looking for story-based car games. They don't exist. They do not exist anymore. That is a genre of game that's not so well developed these days. Even so much in the arcade sense, the Need for Speed games have they've gone so far over the top. It's not even a game, it's a movie. I just don't seem to really enjoy that format too much. Forza Horizon, if you want to call that a story, I guess, but I think that's really hurting the definition of story. I'm talking things like the old driver games. The one that I keep coming back to is Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed, and how much I loved the way that game's single player played out, where you were trying to become a factory Porsche test driver, and it like worked your way through the history of Porsche.
Thank you.
It tried to hone in your driving skills. You had to prove yourself, but it wasn't just you versus scripted AI races. It's a shame that was so long ago, because the graphics and overall feel of that game are just not quite relevant enough anymore, I think, to be played. But I would love to see another game of that philosophy. Like, I loved that idea.
7-5.
That's got to be pretty much
White
any
flag.
real, true car enthusiast dream. Give me the keys to whatever car it is you're working on. I'll go figure out if it's good or not.
You have about 5 laps of fuel left.
It looks like I overfueled. I took more because it was cloudy and I figured we might use more. I don't think that 1 gallon is what's holding us back, though. Man, I'm glad it was cloudy, though. This has been a very comfortable race. I've thoroughly enjoyed driving this car.
Thank you.
Besides one, wow, that was a mid-word burp, and I apologize. Besides the one Solstice, pretty good lap cars too. I feel avenged for what happened yesterday.
Thank you.
He's talking to me. I'm like, I'm not even close. What are you talking about? Oh, it looks like Michael got around Raymond at some point. I didn't even notice that happened. See how much that one little cut corner hurt him. He had the pace to beat us, for sure. But because of that one little cut, not a chance. Get him! Well, this is quite a battle. I'm just going to sit back and watch it. Oh, I guess... Alright, that wasn't
One on your right.
quite as exciting as I thought it was going to be. To be honest.
Checkered flag this time.
But okay.
Go ahead and run your race, guys. I'm just on a cool down lap.
Great job, driver.
I'm happy with that. Second place. I think I drove very smart, very clean, very good. Again, very disappointed that Jem didn't get to race with us. I feel like we've been so evenly matched all season, but we just haven't had one race where we get to run with each other nice and clean the whole time. Hopefully, well, we only have Nürburgring left, so hopefully we get our chance there. I don't think it'll happen, but maybe. Okay, so maybe not the most interesting race I've ever run in my life. However, it was a very good result, and I'm pleased. I'm really happy on a personal level with just how I drove through the entire race. If we could have hung with Travis, maybe things would have been a little different, but if you look at his fastest lap time, a 51.0, guy was really quick and extremely consistent. I had a 51.3, which actually surprises me. That is quite a fast lap time. In comparison, Gem Knight, despite having issues, he got down to a 51.7, but who knows what that could have been. Nice, we got a good championship points total there. Unfortunately, because I missed an extra week this season due to Olton Park never going live. Not bitter about that at all. We're not in any great championship standing, but it is a very good result for us. And a nice little increase in I rating. 2,500, that may be the first time I'm over 2,500 in ever, if not years. So that's cool. And we finished ahead of some guys with some pretty decent I ratings. And then Travis with his 4,000. That's unobtainium for me. Alright, that'll do it for this week. Thank you as always for watching. See you next week for The Ring.